How will Palantir Stock, ticker PLTR Stock, progress through the upcoming changes in the political landscape? Should you run scared or buy? That's what we're going to find out today. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Palantir video. As I just said before, we have some interesting news and theories to discuss about Palantir Stock moving forward and whether or not you should be buying in or cashing out. This video is full of great information, so it's in your best interest to stick around to the end so you can make smarter choices and be more successful with your investments. But before we begin the video, I just want to say a really quick thank you to those who have been liking, commenting on the videos and subscribing to the channel. It makes putting these videos together even more fun. I love having conversations with everyone down there in the comment section, and I respond to every one of your comments, so if you want to chat about Palantir stock, or if you want to rant about your hatred for Palantir, that's fine too. With the new presidential administration on its way into power, Palantir has to be extra cautious because it's a stock that might be on thin ice for a while. If you didn't already know, Palantir is a bit of a right-wing company whose main income stream comes from working on somewhat secretive government and military contracts, with its founder, Peter Thiel, being a proud Trump supporter. While Palantir is trying its best to make transparent choices from here on out, its past affiliations and business contacts will not be forgotten. Palantir strikes me as a company that can adapt to new situations, and so far is proving to do so. Like a chameleon, Palantir is attempting to shift its overall appearance to be less threatening to investors and blend into the background to avoid any negative politics that may come its way. This, combined with strong financials, make Palantir a company with the ability to grow and expand into the mainstream while still keeping its toes dipped in government contracts to help line its pockets. Palantir looks to be leaning into a strategy of leveraging toward a less military-aligned contact base. Yet, the company at the moment is clearly leaning more heavily toward a portfolio of clientele which is increasingly government. Government contracts make up more than half of its revenue, and government-related work increased 76% from 2019 to 2020. Palantir's critics seem to ignore their abilities and services and purely focus on their military connections, which is such a shame because it scares people away from the company before they even understand what Palantir can do. Not many people out there seem to know about their assistance to those in need through Hurricane Florence, or better yet, their involvement with the NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, where Palantir uses its services to assist analysts with over 60,000 reports per day. The overarching identity attached to Palantir has overshadowed some of its greatest accomplishments, and this hurts the stock's growth because many people feel it's immoral to invest in defense and national security, which is perfectly understandable. Palantir's latest press release is a sign in the right direction. If you weren't already aware, they released a statement about strengthening their partnership with the Greek government by aiding officials to fight this worldwide illness. Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis met with Palantir CEO Alex Karp to discuss ways they can use big data analysis to stay ahead of the curve and eradicate this illness from the country. This data would give government officials the information they needed in real time to help make smarter and more analytical driven decisions to better aid the community. And then, on December 8th, the company announced it had signed a $44 million deal to provide data analytics for the Food and Drug Administration. My spidey senses are telling me that Palantir is likely to seek and sign more of these non-controversial contracts in light of the incoming Biden administration. Palantir was founded by outspoken Trump supporter and Silicon Valley man Peter Thiel. Palantir is therefore associated with his views. Further, Palantir's operation and contracts speak as a company decidedly on the right of the political spectrum, but the simple fact is that Trump is leaving the office, and conservative politics will have a diminished voice soon. Palantir management knows this. Palantir also knows it must play the game of politics to increase its profits. Biden's team is unlikely to view Palantir as favourably as Trump's government did. As much as this is true, it also seems to me that Palantir is proactively addressing its public image through the contracts it has recently won. Simply stated, Palantir can provide software and analytics solution across a broad spectrum of industry. It can be implemented in just about any industry actually, and has clearly done so already. It also has a deep government network into which it can contract its services. A Biden administration doesn't look like it will affect Palantir much, if at all, provided they continue to take on more transparent business. Palantir recorded a strong Q3. Revenue rose 52% in Q3 of 2020 compared to those in Q3 of 2019. Further, the company raised full-year revenue guidance to project an increased revenue of 44% year-over-year in 2020. The company also recorded an earnings per share of 5 cents over an anticipated 2 cents earnings per share projection. Despite Wall Street's aggressive bearishness, Palantir stock looks like it's on solid ground for now. It's volatile, that's for sure, and that was made clear when it jumped more than 20% on the news of its $44 million 3-year contract with the FDA. Many investors believe that the jump of magnitude makes no sense. After all, Palantir is projecting more than $1 billion in 2020 revenue, so why would a relatively measly $44 million out of $1 billion move its share price by 20%? The answer is simple. Palantir is playing the game and winning contracts that are congruent with its political agenda. Palantir's strategy remains the same. Play the political winds to its favour and leverage its network. It should continue to rise as a consequence, or so we hope. It's far from the perfect investment and it has kept many investors on the sidelines, but following a recent winning streak, Palantir Technologies could be set to continue its growth. Let's look at what's happening on the price chart of Palantir stock, then have a gander at what we find. Knowing your fundamental and technical analysis isn't a guaranteed ticket to being a stock market millionaire. However, it is helpful to know because it helps you identify trends and know when a company is on solid footing. But there are many occasions where the trend you see isn't growing as a result of fundamentals, or because the candlesticks were doing an upside down isosceles triangle. Sometimes these trends stick around far longer than they should because of the hype of people's belief that one day the company will accomplish great things. Take Tesla for example. Despite running into countless issues and brick walls, the company has grown to what is going to be the 6th largest company in the S&P 500. Short sellers have lost hundreds of millions of dollars because they believed, today is the day, the stars are aligned, today I'll short Tesla and make my mark. Then they lose all their money because it keeps going up. I'm not comparing apples to oranges here, but Palantir seems like the type of company to do a similar thing once the name gets more mainstream. Tech-savvy investors love Palantir, but not everyone has been impressed, especially not billionaire George Soros. Longtime backer George Soros has publicly slammed Palantir's business practices, and a writer at investorplace.com, Mark Hake, who is supposedly a guy who knows his way around an income statement, cautioned investors regarding Palantir's negative free cash flow, and they're not alone. Moreover, there has been an awful lot of aggressive insider selling at the highest levels of Palantir, and at much lower market prices. And one of Wall Street's most notorious short sellers, Citron Research, dubbed Palantir a casino. Andrew Lecht, arguably the most notorious short seller from Citron, who often switches sides at the drop of a coin, set a price target of $20 by year's end. This prediction of his is aligned with the CNN Money forecast of $14 in the next 12 months. Usually I'm a very conservative investor and agree with the predictions, but this time I think if it ever drops down to $14, then you'll be getting an absolute bargain. To be certain, bad things can happen to investors that overstay their welcome. EV Stock, Nikola, Candy Technologies, or Workhorse Groups are all testaments to that. And while it's easy to point at overboard hype surrounding those names or company-specific reasons behind the implosions, stocks are always prone to corrections. Importantly, trend persistence should not be readily dismissed, and right now, Palantir is setting up as a stock that remains in position to prove more dismissive investors wrong. If you do want to get technical, shares of Palantir are putting together a symmetrical triangle pattern. Odds favour a continuation of the existing trend out of this type of formation, and as Palantir has gained roughly 200% from its October debut, this implies that we might see an upside breakout to all new time highs, but from there it could drop right back down. Your guess is as good as mine. Ultimately, as shown on the daily chart, getting past resistance from around $29 to $31 looks like the key to a successful rally. If you're not really interested in Palantir stock, then I suggest you look into NEO stock. It's still a volatile stock, but it's definitely a stock that has huge potential. I'm currently putting together a video on NEO, so if you want to see that, subscribe and hit the bell so you can be the first to see it. That's all for today. I put a lot of time and effort into this video, so if you enjoyed this video and watched this far, you're a legend and I appreciate you. So like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.